Okay, I have a serious thing. I have a serious thing to discuss in this video, which is journalism. What I like and what I don't like. What I don't like in journalism is one-sided views, one-sided opinions. So when I watch something that's a journalist giving a report, I like to hear both sides of it. I don't think that Bonnie Blue has slept with 1,000 people, and when I was listening to that video, watching it, I was trying to think, is there any way that there's a high chance that this is false? And some of the things they said was that no one's actually seen all footage. They were sold in 4 different video parts and no one's ever seen all 4 of them. Hence could be false. There was a lot of things that even the camera crew didn't stay around for the whole of it. The thing about making a world record is that there has to be an examiner watching the event, so that if someone is claiming to eat or stick 1,000 marshmallows inside their mouth, there has to be someone that actually watches them actually put whatever 1,000. If someone claims to eat 1,000 marshmallows in an hour, someone has to actually watch and see all the 1,000 coming in. And if you haven't done that, and if you're claiming that the video can't go online and that no one's ever seen it, for me and if she's also, while promoting that she's actually very good at marketing, a good marketing person doesn't necessarily give the truth. They do something that kind of promotes that they might be doing the truth. They do something to suggest that it might be the truth, but a good marketing strategy is to kind of lie. And if she reveals that she's a good marketing strategy, a good marketing strategy is to say that you slept with 1,000 when really you only have a video clip of you having sex with 50, which is disgusting, and I don't really agree with it, but whatever. If that's what you want to do, that's your body, your life, and I don't really care. I don't think it really matters. But when it comes to serious matters, such as the war between Gaza and Palestine, you need to look at both sides of it. You need to recognize that before the war started, Palestinians weren't living a nice, happy life. 46% of them were supposed to be living below the poverty line, and 40% of them marry first cousins. If you marry first cousins, you're more likely going to have kids that have problems. And I've heard one side of the story, which is that there are a lot of starving kids, but a lot of this starvation might actually be caused by parents who are not looking after them properly because they're hungry and the parents are eating all the food for themselves. Is that possible? Are there mothers that can't get hold of food, and when they do get hold of food, they only give it to themselves? What, my sister would do that. So I know that there are parents that are like that. So I don't necessarily think you should just look at starving children and just think this is all Israel's fault. I know that there are 2 sides of everything, and you need to recognize that if 40% of people in Palestine are marrying their cousins, then maybe some of these kids don't actually have aren't being starved because they have no food, but rather maybe they have a disorder that makes it harder for them to eat. Maybe they have something wrong with their intestines that makes the food come out a lot faster. There are loads of reasons why people would starve, and they said that there's only about 200 people in the last 2 years have starved to death. Now that's a terrible number, but I know that there are dogs that they have some sort of feeding problem and you can't feed them and they die of starvation because of not being able to feed properly. But it might not be down to actually them being starved. It could be them doing to a disorder, and I'm not saying that all those people died because of a genetic disorder. I'm just saying, as a good journalist, you need to recognize both sides of the coin. Maybe these kids are being starved because their parents have no food. Maybe these kids, though, are being starved because their parents have not that much food and they're just giving it to themselves because they're hungry and selfish. You need to recognize that even though that's a disgusting thought, that could be a possibility. And you need to recognize that maybe there is conflict on both sides, and people are attacking the people. Maybe people are there's Hamas killing people to try and get access at the food, and then maybe Israelis are striking back. Maybe that's the case, maybe that's not the case. But if you've not been in these countries, if you've not actually seen where the problem is coming from, I've heard reports that there are some areas of Gaza that are untouched and people are living a pretty normal, decent life like nothing has happened. I've heard reports like this, and I'm not saying that that's the truth. I'm just saying I've heard two sides of the story, and I think a good journalist is someone that is happy and open-minded to believe or report on both sides. You know, to see all Palestinians as being innocent people, they're not. They force their 12-year-olds to dress up in veils and cover themselves because they want to try and teach their children to submit to Allah, a God that they know nothing about, and you don't even know that, you don't know if that's the truth. You know, you don't know if that's the truth. They have honor killings where if you don't marry the cousin that your father told you to marry, they could kill you. And I feel like to just therefore see all these people as just being innocent when that's not the truth, because they are, you know, Muhammad, if you do research into what his life is or the stories about his life, you would find that he's a terrorist. And if you are willing to think that you deserve to die for that, but you deserve to die for calling him a terrorist, then you're not an innocent person. And so, you know, when reporting on things, I think you need to recognize that there is always both on both sides. You know, I hate a ton of people in England, so I am not even on the English side, because I think there's a huge amount of robots that are in social services that just don't give a shit about kids and only care about their salary. You know, so I want to defend the English people, but I recognize that there are some really corrupt people in England, and I think a good journalist is someone who can recognize both sides of the story and not just be like, I hate Israel, I've heard all these stories, I believe it. Oh look, there's documents that prove that they knew that the October 7th was, you know, she was just saying, Anna was saying that she's seen documents that the Israelis were warned beforehand, on a couple of days or 2 weeks beforehand. They were given a warning that there was going to be an attack, and she is implying that they knew and they allowed it to happen and they forced it to happen. And then she started saying how they funded Hamas and they were the ones who raised up Hamas. You know what? Hamas is just a group of people that were trying to govern the country. Now, when they first came into power, they probably were genuine people that just wanted to do good, and then they got corrupted probably by their religion, because their religion teaches them that, you know, they must force people into worshipping Sharia law, and that they must kill all the infidels, and infidels are Jewish people who believe other things and worship other gods. You know, that's why you can't go into their land and be seen to be praying to their God, to your God, because they see your God as being a different God, even if that's not the truth. You know, to recognize that that these are all just innocent people that are being starved. You know, I feel like this is very one-sided and very close-minded, and to think that it's fine to attack Israel for not helping them now, but attack them for helping them before they knew what Hamas was going to turn into. You know, there are lots of people that say that America was the one who trained up ISIS or trained up you know, I think there's a lot of mistakes that get made with Islam, because a lot of people keep believing that Islam is a fine religion. You just need to get the right people that promote the right stuff, and then you just need to give them power. They can take over and control the land, and things will be fine. But then you find that it falls apart and it gets corrupted, and the reason why is because buried in their Quran is a bunch of things that say kill the infidels, kill Jews, kill anyone that's not religion. For, you know, honor, if your child doesn't want to marry the person you've told them to marry, you can, that's an honor killing. You know, there's a whole list of things that are sick in their religions. Now, if you get anyone that worships these religions and say, you know what, you can do whatever, you know, you want, you know, they're going to start thinking, well, Allah has given us this, we worship Allah, this is our religion has allowed America to help us raise up this, and then they're going to start taking their religion more seriously. And the more you take their religion, this Islamic religion, seriously, the more you fall down this spiral of who the hell is Allah. Oh, Allah's a monster. Allah is a monster in the Quran. And the more you research, the more you study, the more you find out, the more hadiths you read, the more sunnis you read, the more stuff you read, the more things you will believe, and the more sick your belief will become. And it is a spiral. It's like prostitutes who start off being a prostitute. I'm not going to do sex. I'm just going to do just talking to people online, and then, oh look, they want to give me extras if I meet them, and just have coffee with them. Okay, let's do that. And then, oh look, let's have, and then you find yourself falling down a spiral. You think, I'm just going to do massage, and then you find yourself doing hand jobs, and then you find yourself doing blowjobs if the money is right, and then you start finding yourself being a prostitute, and then you fall into a trap. In that same way, this is how Islam can be, because there are some terrible things in Islam, in the Quran. And I'm wearing my game over thing. I don't know. I just saw it on the floor and I thought I was going to wear it. But yeah, there are some terrible things in it. And if you start believing that Allah is helping you, Allah has put you in power, put you in authority, allowed your beliefs and your religions to be okay because America or whoever's funded you, whoever's backed you up has said that, there's nothing wrong with Islam, you're going to start taking your religion seriously. And as soon as you start taking your religion seriously, you're going to realize that your religion actually tells people to lie to other people about what you're doing, because this is all in favor of Allah. They're infidels. They won't understand. The infidels will not understand you. So you need to do everything in secret so that you can learn to conquer them and conquer the world. And all you need to do is find Israel and kill Israel. And you know what? That's me. And I don't want you to kill me. Well, I kind of do, actually, because I hate this world and I don't want to be here. So I have two sides to that too. I don't want to be here. I think the world is full of monsters. I think even the best people in this world are still sick. And you know what is annoying, actually, is the best people in this world are not sick, because if they really were sick, they would be finding these gang rapists of children and they would just be killing them. They wouldn't be just saying, oh, let's put them in prison, let's feed them, let's house them, let's give them lots of money, they would just say, right, let's get rid of them. So even the best people are not sick enough. It's just the sick people are the sick ones who are killing people for stupid reasons. You won't marry the guy I told you to marry your cousin. Your cousin is 20 years older than you and he hates you and he doesn't like you and he's got 5 other wives and I just told you to marry him and you didn't marry him, so I'm going to kill you. I mean, that is the sort of belief that they have, and it is sick, it is disgusting, and it is gross. And these are the people who are doing whatever they want. These are the people that are allowed to kill, and yet the good people who can see that kidnapping 12-year-olds, getting them drugged, and then letting men just use them one after the other whilst they're passed out and not really knowing what. I mean, that is absolutely disgusting, and these people are wolves, and I don't understand why the real good people in this world who have power aren't just going to find them, hunt them down like the wolves that they are, and shoot them and kill them. I don't know why they're not doing that, because that is what good people do. Good people know when to attack and when to and who to kill. Why should they kill them? And that's what they should be doing. And instead we've got these sick people that think that it's fine to kill your children if they don't obey you, or if they show their skin, or if they're attractive to a man. A 12-year-old needs to cover up and look like some, I don't know, I say black pine cone, but a pine cone doesn't look like that. It looks like a black pine cone with some sort of cloth over the top of it. I mean, it looks terrible. And there's people that think that if you don't dress like that, you deserve to die. And we're not doing anything. We're just being like, oh no, there's nothing wrong with Islam. Islam's a good religion. It's about peace. It's not about forcing people into wearing certain clothes that make them feel restricted, that they can't run in, that they can't do anything, that they can't move about in, and telling women that they need to feel ashamed of their body, and that they shouldn't, their body shape should just be a big triangle, and that's because that's what God likes, because God is a male, and only males can show their skin, and only males have the rights to do things. And then you've got Anna, who's just like, these are all innocent people. Yeah, they believe that women should just be treated as some sort of object that's bought and sold. And yes, you can sell your 12-year-old. You can kill your 12-year-old if your 12-year-old refuses to marry your 70-year-old cousin, or 18. I'm sure it's a bit less of the age gap. But your 40-year-old friend or whatever. Islam is not a bunch of innocent people, and if Anna is failing to recognize that, then I feel like she is just chosen a side, and she is just, who is giving her the information, who is funding this, because if she is being this one-sided, she is going to be a magnet to all the people that support that side. And if she's being very pro Palestine and very anti, it's imbalanced. It is unbalanced. To think that there is, that none of these, well, I'm not saying that she thinks none of these, but to call all them innocent, I think is totally wrong. I don't want war coming to England. But I wouldn't say that the English people are innocent. I would say that there's a lot of mad, brainwashed, stupid, mentally ill, there's all sorts of bad people. And Tommy Robinson was trying to make he was trying to support them in ways by saying that there's no such thing as Islamophobia. You know what? I think there is such thing as Islamophobia, but I think that the Muslims are proud to make people Islamophobic. You will obey Allah and my religion, my things, and I'm going to make you Islamophobic because that is what I want you to feel, so that you worship my religion and my beliefs. They love Islamophobia, because the reason why Islam exists at the power and strength that it has is because they have made the world Islamophobic, and they are proud to make the world Islamophobic. So he was kind of defending them by saying that Islamophobia isn't a real thing. It is a real thing, but they love that it's a real thing because they can use this fear and they can use this power that this Islamophobia gives them by saying that we are the truth, worship us or we will kill you. That's why so many people in prisons turn to Islam, because they fear what will happen if they don't have this support, if they don't have this help. They've created this Islamophobic against humans, against humanity, and they are using it as a way of trying to say, well, we have the truth, because in Allah that you can get protection, and if you're scared, you will turn to Allah. If you are fearful of what might happen if you don't turn to this religion, then Islamophobia is the reason why Islam is so big, because it's all about putting fear into people, putting fear into your children, thinking if you walk around your streets without those cloths on you, you will be raped, you will be kidnapped, and people will do what they want, and they will have a right to do what they want because you didn't do what I want. So Islamophobia is just part of the religion, and therefore I feel like Tony Robbins was trying to see both sides of it, and therefore I feel like I trust his views more, because he wasn't just saying that they're all bad. There's a difference between Islam and Muslims. Muslims are people, and I'm attacking the religion. But yeah, you should attack Muslims. That was actually a defense. I would say that wasn't insulting Islam. That was actually trying to be defending it by saying, oh, I'm not attacking the people, I'm only attacking the religion. No, you need to attack the people. You need to attack the people, because the people are the ones that are choosing the religion. You know what? I am God, and if you want to judge me for judging you for your religion that I created to test you, if you're going to judge me for this, then I think you're stupid. Do you not want to hear what God's real opinion is? Do you not want to know? Of course you don't want to know. Why? Because I don't like it. I don't like what you think. I don't like what you believe. I don't like what you support. I don't like anything about it. I'd love to change this thing where it says game over and have a little bubble saying I'm Israel, and then saying they hate Israel. Or they want to kill Israel. He can say they want to kill Israel. And one's supposed to be smiling and the other one's supposed to be looking sad. But yes, I guess he's the one who has to kill everyone. But yes, I don't know. I found this for 50p somewhere, and I don't even know if it was 50p. It might have been free. I don't know how I got hold of this. Yes, I feel like Tony Robbins was trying to defend it, and Piers Morgan, who somebody pisses me off. I never watch him. He's very one-sided. He was just attack, and I was just like, what are you saying? He's trying to look at both sides of it. He's trying to say that there's a difference between Islam and Muslims, and you're saying, what? That's shocking. It's a faith. It's a faith. What if it's a faith? Christianity is a faith, and you know what? Maybe he would wave around saying that this is wrong. There's a part in the Bible that says eat your own children. There's all sorts of shit in it, and he would happily say that I condemn this. Jesus came to end this, and okay, he didn't, because clearly the book has still been debated, and I'm not against Jews, but if Jews take the Torah seriously, then there is just as much sickness in that than there is in the Quran. But at least the Torah does not specifically say kill Muslims. Okay, the Torah came first, so it can't say kill the Muslims, because Muslims didn't exist back then. So maybe that's the reason why it doesn't say kill the Muslims. Maybe if they knew that the Muslims were about to be formed, then maybe they would argue that it does say that. There's all sorts of things in old texts. I'm not for any old text. Now, if Piers Morgan wants to say, why are you insulting the Quran and not insulting Christianity, I would just laugh. I would laugh at him, because I would say, for the last 12 years, all I've done is insult Christianity. And the reason why I do that is because you're not allowed to insult Islam. I am God, and yet their religion would not even allow God, who created the religion, to form my own religion. I'm not getting any response from anyone. I'm not even getting Muslims telling me that they want to kill me. I've got a couple of Muslims telling me that I'm full of shit, which I'm actually glad that they think that I'm full of shit, because then they're just going to switch off and think, this girl's a bit mad, I'm not going to listen to you. Good, I'm glad you think that. Why? Because on the day that my people come and kill you, I want to know, I don't want you to know what my plans are. So if you think I'm full of shit and you're not going to listen to me, good. Stop listening. Shit, stop. Go away. Think I'm full of shit, and I will throw this shit at you when you're not looking. Okay. But anyway, this is my view on Islam. I'm not being two-sided when it comes to Islam, because I'm not seeing any good in it. I'm trying to be... I'm being two-sided when it comes to Islam, because I'm saying that some people have no clue what's in their religion, just like there are some people that have no clue what's in the Bible. They love Christianity, they say, yeah, we support Jesus and stuff like that, but then if you ask to say, what did Jesus say, you know, love your neighbor, that's all they'll say. Love your neighbor, you know, do charity work, you know, it's all about the inner you, and connect to God for the inner you. And I'm just like, Jesus didn't say that. You know, you're just making stuff up. You've got a view on what Jesus said and what Jesus believed, and you're just saying that this is the truth. And in that same way, there are plenty of Muslims that probably have, you know, they've been brainwashed into believing that Muhammad is this, Muhammad is great, Muhammad conquered. And you know what? It's not even a bad thing to like is Muhammad. This isn't one defense that I have. You know, I'm trying to look at both sides. If you love Muhammad because you like how he started wars, conquered the land, and now Islam is everywhere because of him. You know, if you believe that Islam is the truth and Muhammad did that, then I can understand why you would support Muhammad. You know, I like the fact that I'm Christ, and there's lots of people all over the world believing in Christ. So the idea that there was a bunch of Christians who had a bunch of false ideologies and a bunch of sick beliefs, but also had a powerful army that went around the world conquering, killing, murdering, and this is the reason why Christianity conquered the world. You know, I hate what happened, but I love the fact that it happened. Why? Because I am Christ, and I want the world to believe that I am Christ, and for that to happen, they have to believe in Christ. So even though it's a terrible thing, I support that it happened, which is a terrible thing. Now, if you're a Muslim and you feel the same way, you know, you're a Muslim and you want to support Muhammad because he conquered the world, and now Muslimality, Islam is now all over the world. You know, if you think that was genuinely a good thing, or if you think Islam is genuinely a good thing, then I can understand why him starting lots of wars makes him more of a hero. I do not support Christianity, but I'm glad that the world is full of Christians, and if a huge amount of wars had to happen for that to happen, then okay, I'm supporting war. Okay, I know that I'm bad, but they are bad too, but we are the same, because we are both supporting war, because this is the reason why Islam is everywhere. This is the reason why Christianity is everywhere. I hate Christianity, but I like Jesus, or I like Christ. I like the Christ belief, and yeah. So that is my defense on them. But I know that there are a lot of people that have been lied to about Muhammad, lied to about what his life was like, what you know. There are some people that have no clue that he married a 6-year-old, that he had sex with a 9-year-old. There are some people that had no clue that he there's all sorts of things that he forced women to marry him, and had many. Some people don't even know anything about him. Like I think there are some Muslims that genuinely have no idea what's about him, that or anything about him. They just think, you know what, I'm just going to accept the whatever the land accepts, and they think you should pray 5 times a day, and I'm just going to do this like some sort of robot. You know, there's a lot of people that are like that. There are lots of robotic people in England too that are just thinking, you know what, Christianity, you know, there's some people that the law might say you sleep with a child under the age of 18, then that's terrible, and they might just be like, oh my god, did he slept with 17-year-olds? Oh, that's awful. And they'll completely be oblivious to the fact that maybe that 17-year-old has had 8 or 9 lives, and might actually be very mature for her age, and she might have known what she was doing, and therefore it can't really be counted as rape. If it was consensual, okay, yes, drugs and alcohol can apply, but there is a difference between getting a 17-year-old drunk, or her wanting to get drunk and ending up having sex, maybe because the guy too was drunk. You know, there's a difference between that and literally going to someone's house knowing that you're about to have sex with a drunken 14-year-old. I mean, these are two different things, and to see them as being the same thing, I think that you're a robot. You're a robot if you would see that as being the same thing. And so there's robots all over the world. I'm not in favor of anyone. That's the thing. I'm not in favor of anyone, and I'm in favor of the people though that can see the truth and are open-minded to both possibilities. And Anna has annoyed me because she's getting all this information, and I'm wondering if maybe her donors, maybe her sponsors, are actually seeing this sort of hatred that they have for Islam and is for Israel, and they're thinking, right, let's give them lots of money so that they can continue believing this, and then maybe we can get a bunch of people to write up a bunch of documents and pretend change the dates to make it look like Israel knew about it, that it was all orchestrated, all planned. You know, how does she know that this is the truth? How does she know that this isn't just like some sort of alien conspiracy theorist that's written up a bunch of forms, put a government stamp on the above and a false date of how this dates back to 1979 or whatever the date, and saying, you know, this is proof that aliens are real, when really we actually just wrote this and we've just passed it on to people that are going to expose it. You know, how do I know that the donors or the supporters or the backers are, you know, I don't know what's going on. Does she? Is she even saying that that's a possibility? I think journalists, when they become so self-centered in their own beliefs and own thoughts, that's when they become a bad journalist. And when I start seeing these one-sided views, I start turning against the journalist, unless of course if it's something like Bonnie Blue wanting to sleep with 1,000 guys. You know, I don't give a shit if people lie about that. This means nothing as long as she's not in prison for doing that, which I don't think is the truth. I don't know. I mean, maybe she's even worked with OnlyFans, and OnlyFans said, you know what, we're going to block you for a couple of months and say that you can't post this. When in reality, we know that this is all fake, and we know this is only just a scam so that you can try and maybe help run and set up a sister company that we've got going. You know, maybe the OnlyFans actually have set up, she apparently moved from OnlyFans to a different company. You know, maybe they wanted to create a different business, and so said, you know what, we're going to ban you from this site so that you can move you to this site, and we'll pretend that the only reason why we moved you is because of this false setup that's happened. And you know, I don't know, and that could be the truth about that could mean that anything is true. And if you're not a journalist willing to accept that you're wrong, then I don't want to listen to you. And Anna said that she's happy to accept when she's wrong, but she doesn't seem to be happy to accept that what she's currently saying could be wrong, or could be information that's just, you know, could be a bunch of people brainwashing her and Cenk, which is weird. Why is it Cenk with a C? Why do you spell Cenk with a C? I don't know. But yes, she could be manipulated. If something's wrong with everyone else, maybe there's something wrong with you, and she needs to be aware that that's a possibility.